RTD.
Good evening, dear viewers, and welcome to RTD's English News Edition. The top stories. President Anglais arrived to Nairobi in Kenya for a 48 hours official visit. The head of state received this morning the President of Legislature of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Thank you for joining us in our newsroom. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Melgele, arrived in Kenya late afternoon for an official visit of 48 hours at the invitation of his counterpart, Uhuru Kenyatta. Upon his arrival at Kenya International Airport, Jomo Kenyatta, the President was greeted warmly by the Kenya Foreign Minister, but also members of the government of Djibouti, including the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Minister of Investment, the Minister of Energy, and the Minister of Trade. The President had a first meeting with the Kenyan Foreign Minister in the VIP room, during which they discussed ways to strengthen bilateral relations and cooperation between the two countries. Then the President signs the airport before being taken to his hotel, where he will reside during his stay. At his arrival, the President is warmly welcomed by the Djiboutian diaspora who reside in Nairobi. Note that President Anglais will meet his counterpart tomorrow at the Presidential Palace, where a ceremony will be held. In giving us more details on this visit of the head of state, we have with us on the phone Awa Abdi, our reporter in Nairobi, Kenya. Good evening, Awa.
Good night, Hidayah.
What can you tell us on this state visit of the President of the Republic to Kenya? And a second question, and can you give us a brief on his agenda for this 48 hours visit of the head of state?
Yes, the President of the Republic has arrived in Kenya for an official visit. He was welcomed by the Minister of Foreign in Kenya. This visit comes after the invitations of the President of Kenya, Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta. So the President is accompanied by ministers' delegation, such as the Minister of Investment, the Minister of Foreign, and also the Minister of Energy and the Minister of Trade. This visit, Hidayah, of the President, it's a chance to build a strong relation and solid cooperation in different areas, especially the trade, the fight against terrorism groups, and diversity import-export exchange, especially through support, telecommunications, are among other things area of exchange and cooperation between the two nations. In conclusion, we can say the President of the Republic share with his counterpart, Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta, the same vision of the policies in the region and fight against the terrorism in the region, and many other visions. And these visions will be more stronger because of this, and will contribute to build a solid cooperation between the nations. And for tomorrow, the President will receive by his counterpart, Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta. and he will visit many zone of locations, strategic locations, who will make more strength the relations Djibouti-Kenya.
Thank you, Awa, for those explanations. And that was Awa Abdi reporting us live from Nairobi, Kenya. And now let's move on to the news inside the country. The president of the Saudi Consultative Assembly, or Ashura Council, Abdullah bin Mohammed bin Ibrahim al-Sheikh, began Tuesday a 4-day visit to Djibouti at the invitation of the Speaker of the National Assembly, Mohammed Ali Hamad. Upon his arrival at the Djibouti International Airport, the president of the Saudi Shura Council was greeted by the Speaker of Parliament and other officials, but also the ambassadors of both countries. The Speaker of the Djiboutian Parliament has discussed with Mr. Abdullah bin Mohammed bin Ibrahim al-Sheikh the fraternal relations between Djibouti and Riyadh, and wants to strengthen the cooperation between the parliamentarians of the two countries. And after this short meeting, the chairman of the Saudi Shura Council went to the presidential palace, where the head of state, His Excellency Ismail Mergele, received the Saudi parliamentary delegation. The hearing was attended by the Speaker of the National Assembly, Mohammed Ali Hamad, as well as the ambassadors of both countries. The talks enabled the two parties to identify the points of view of each one in terms of cooperation in areas to be developed for the two countries. The President of the Constitutive Assembly of Saudi Arabia, also called Majlis al-Shura or Shura Council, Mr. Abdullah bin Mohammed bin Ibrahim al-Sheikh, expressed his satisfaction to visit the Republic of Djibouti as part of the fraternal cooperation between the two countries and the ongoing consultations between the authorities of both countries, especially between the two parliamentary institutions. He said he had discussions with the President of the Republic ways to improve relations between the two countries, in addition to a number of issues and topics of interest to both countries. He took this opportunity to convey the greetings of the guardian of the two holy mosques to the President of the Republic. For his part, the Speaker of the National Assembly stressed the importance of the visit of the Saudi Council of Shura. He stressed that this initiative reflects the will of the Saudi authorities to strengthen parliamentary cooperation between the two countries under the leadership of the two countries represented by the President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Omar Gelle, and the guardian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud. A ceremony to sign additional funding for the geothermal exploration project was held today. The signing ceremony took place in the office of the Minister of Economy and Finance responsible for industry, Mr. Yassir Moussedouale, in the presence of the Regional Director of the African Development Bank, Mr. Gabriel Negatu. This financing for the Fiali Caldera well exploration project in the Tajura region is part of a geothermal energy development program aimed at improving the quality of life of the population by facilitating the increase of the production capacity of 50 megawatts green energy. On the other hand, it will reduce the import of oil and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. It should be noted that the project is in line with the priorities set out in the new Energy Pact in Africa for universal access to electricity by 2025 and affordable energy. This project is also in line with Djibouti's strategy for accelerated growth and employment promotion by promoting green and inclusive growth. In his intervention, the director of the Djibouti Electricity Authority, Mr. Jama Ali Gelle, highlighted the importance of this project for the independence of the underground energy in order to improve the living conditions of the citizens by reducing the electricity bill, and expressed his thanks and gratitude to the Development Bank for the continuous and unlimited support of the Republic of Djibouti. And for his part, the Minister of the Economy and Finances, Yassir Moussedouale, said that this funding for the Fiala Caldera well exploration project in Tajura region is part of a geothermal energy development program. Still in the national news, as part of the fight against malnutrition for rural people, an official ceremony for the delivery of agricultural equipment and tools was held this morning in Obok region before the State Secretariat for Social Affairs in cooperation with the regional authorities. The Secretary of State for Social Affairs, Mrs. Mona Osman Adam, and her accompanying delegation, which includes officials from Djibouti Agency for Social Development, received a warm welcome from the regional authorities. 71 people, including 11 beneficiaries from the region, benefited from the donation. And this donation handed over to the Secretary of State for Social Affairs to the local authorities of the Obok region by the Secretary of State for Social Affairs, Mrs. Mona Osman Aden, to the ND elected deputies. In her turn, the MP Fatima Hamad expressed grateful to the Secretary of State for Social Affairs and the Djibouti Agency for Social Development for the implementation of this project. It called on the beneficiaries to maintain this equipment to improve agriculture production and meet the needs of the people and bring in daily income. In an intervention, the Secretary of State for Social Affairs, Mrs. Mona Osman Adam, thanked the population of the region for the warm hospitality and warm welcome they received during their arrival. She explained that the granting of these agricultural tools will contribute to the development of agricultural capacity and the process of creating income for the people of this region. 1 week after the end of the 11th Games of the Indian Ocean, which took place in Djibouti, in the fervor and the joy, the games of the Cup of the Champions Clubs of the countries of Arab League are launched in the presence of the Secretary of State to Youth and Sports, Hassan Mohammed Kamil, alongside the members of the Commission of the Football Confederation of Arab League. In the framework of these preliminary qualifying meetings for the Champions League of the Arab League, in the first meeting of the group of the Horn of Africa opposed last Saturday in sports at the Hassan Gulaid Stadium, the team Djibouti Telecom and the Somali team Benadir, with the assistance of the crosses and the shots on the crossbars and the posts, both teams showed an exciting match in a frantic pace full of suspense. At the final whistle, the two teams were tied to the draw of one everywhere. Yesterday in the afternoon, again as part of this qualification, a high-level match between Benadir Sports Club and the talented islanders of Comoros. The ambassador of Djibouti to Riyadh participated in the 45th session of the Council of Foreign Ministers of the OIC, representing the Republic of Djibouti, held in Dhaka, Bangladesh, and from May 5th to May 6th, the Palestinian question and the situation of the Rohingyas in Myanmar, Burma, were at the center of the discussions. And during this conference, 3 resolutions were adopted in favor of Djibouti, adopting resolution number 12 on the border situation between Djibouti and Eritrea, and the decision on supporting the Republic of Djibouti to be nominated as non-permanent members of the United Nations Security Council and the decision to open an office of the Organization of the Islamic Cooperation in Mogadishu. As well, without the Lieutenant General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces, accompanied by Major General Ismail Subakle and the High Military Command, went by helicopter to the Grand Para for an unannounced visit where RT Joint Military Academy, AMIA, were performing a compact exercise counting of the final round. The objective of the Military High Command was to acquire the knowledge acquired from these future officers of the Djiboutian Army. They were engaged in a combined battle where armor and heavy artillery were involved in a complex maneuver. General Zakaria expressed satisfaction with the delivery of the officers and encouraged them to further to serve the country and the flag. And let's recall that these officers are on the field in nomadic mode for 15 days. Also in the news of the country, the awareness program for the values of the homeland initiated by the High Military Command continued this morning with the visit of more than 100 students of the public primary school of the Gashamale in the hospital of the Djiboutian Army. Starting from the public Gashamale primary school, aboard the buses for this occasion. The students of this school were warmly welcomed into the military hospital by the senior officials of the structure, inaugurated on February 11 in 2016 by the President of the Republic, Ismail Mergele. The military hospital, Omar Hassan al-Bashir, is one of the jewels of health in our country. Immediately, the students were taken to the reception department, then to the radiology and CT scan, into the maternity ward. They also went to the physiotherapy or functional rehabilitation. And finally, it was the emergency department to welcome them in their work, including taking a few drops of blood to define in which blood group they belong. Students from the Oscar School visited the Radio Television of Djibouti, RTD, to raise the spirit of discovery among students. The students began their journeys to the different studios, the first, the second, and third channels. The students watched how to present programs in news and radio. Then they visited the TV news section, the editing section, and the news preparation section as well. They recently visited the digital production studio where all local television stations are broadcast. And on the international news, the Moroccan authorities announced the dismantling on Tuesday of a terrorist cell linked to the Islamic State group and composed of 5 members between the ages of 22 and 33 during a joint operation in Morocco and Spain. In Spain, 3 members of this cell were arrested in Fitna, northern Morocco, in coordination with the Spanish security services, according to a statement from the Moroccan Ministry of the Interior. The 2 others of Moroccan and Senegalese nationality were arrested in Bilbao in northern Spain, added the Interior Minister. The operation resulted in the seizure of weapons, military uniforms, and electronic devices. The source, the members of this cell of terrorists are believed to have carried out propaganda campaigns and recruited young people in both countries to commit terrorist acts under the banner of the Islamic State jihadist group. And that's it for this news. Thank you for joining us on RTD and have a good night.